Be very welcome, all of you. I will start today's Inventors webinar with a very short presentation on the IMPACT EdTech project and also introducing today's webinar. I'm here today. My name is Romanote, and I'm here today with my colleagues, Tanya from EUN team, and she will be ensuring the moderation from today's webinar, and also together with Sophia. She's in the background and ensuring that today's webinar runs very smoothly. So first of all, what is IMPACT EdTech? IMPACT is a European incubator accelerators for startup and SMEs. It is a project that is co-funded by the European Commission. It gathers a consortium of 3 partners with complementary expertise. So European SchoolNet, we are a network of 32 European ministries of education. Our partner ISTI is a worldwide leader in digital education, and Funding Box is an EU expert in funding opportunities and knowledge. Currently at IMPACT, we are supporting 43 European digital education innovators via 2 open calls that are ongoing. The first open call, well, this one is still on and it's still running. The second open call that the Inventors is part of, known as the Remote Schooling open call, and it is ending at the end of the month. And just to let you know that we also have a third open call that was launched a few weeks ago, and it is currently opened, so open to receiving applications, and there are 64 days left to apply. So if you are interested and would like to know more, please visit the IMPACT EdTech website. Our goals are at IMPACT EdTech are to enhance learning experiences and foster personalized and inclusive education model. And we also wish to open a whole new area of human-centered digital education amongst many other goals. So what is the Remote Schooling open call? It is an extraordinary call that was launched to face the COVID-19 crisis, that worldwide pandemic, and it aims to target edtech solutions that address these specific challenges that were faced by schools, by learners, by teachers, by pupils that were struck during this crisis, and we aim to provide the most innovative solutions to address different aspects of remote teaching and learning. In this call, there were 147 startup eligible, and only 10 of them, 10 startups were selected, and these are the most promising solutions that address these challenges faced by school, and the Inventors is one of them. These startups were fast-tracked into a 5-month acceleration program. And today's webinar, during today's webinar, the Inventor team will present us the results from this acceleration program, the results from the startups improvements, but also how the school piloting went, and we'll hear more from their educational mentors. So, very exciting program today. Few words on what makes us unique at IMPACT EdTech. So thanks to IMPACT EdTech, the startups get equity-free financial support along with business and educational mentoring throughout the course of the program, and also the chance and the opportunity to get their solution piloted in a real educational setting, in real classrooms with students. And on teachers and school side, they get access to the most innovative educational technologies, and they get to support these innovators in improving their solution thanks to the feedback provided during the tested, and with the final aim to achieve EdTech excellency. Thank you very much for listening to this very short intro. If you want to know more on the project, if you want to follow us, here are the names of our network, of our website, and also my personal email. Should you have any questions, do not hesitate to reach. I will now leave the floor to my colleague and moderator, Tanya, and she will introduce us to the Inventors webinar. Thank you very much and enjoy.
Thank you very much, Roman, for this short introduction about Impact EdTech. As Roman was saying, like, these startups were selected in this remote schooling emergency paradigm that we had to face due to the COVID pandemic. And thanks to all the work they have been doing for the past months, many schools around Europe could have tried to find a way to tackle these obstacles that the COVID pandemic put in our paths in our journeys to try to change education in Europe. So with us today, we have the team of the Inventors, represented by Manuel, co-founder of the Inventors. And then we have Kiki as the educational mentor that was the bridge between the piloting teachers and the startup. And Sophia, representing one of the three teachers, talking today on behalf of them, giving us a bit of an overview of what was the teacher's experience on this piloting phase. So without further ado, I'm going to give the floor to Manuel, that is going to introduce the startup and just a bit of housing rules. You're going to have each 10 minutes, and then we're going to leave the last 10 minutes for a Q&A session. So participants can ask questions in the chat, so don't be shy. Feel free to write your questions on the chat, direct them directly to the educational mentor, to the teacher, or to the startup, or to all of them. We will have a session at the end, and we will be here to collect your questions. So thank you very much to everyone for attending today. And Manuel, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. I think you can hear me now. I will also share my screen. We can
hear you.
Just a quick note, there are constructions in my building, so if at any point you hear some disruption, don't worry,
I mean, it might also happen to me. We have also constructions next to the office, so I guess today everyone got an agreement of starting constructions today.
Okay, well, so my presentation, I will talk a little bit about what the startup is about and what this piloting experience has meant to us. So we are a startup based in Portugal, Lisbon, Portugal. We started around 4 or 5 years ago, and none of the co-founders actually came from education. We came from other technology startups, and we thought that at the time okay, education is moving slow towards the future, which is ironic because now education seems to be the most dynamic field of all, and everyone is looking at what new technologies and tools are available. And we thought that the biggest challenge in education that we could help was in motivating children to becoming more confident about their capability of using technology and learning about different technology tools. So to give you an example, we thought that we could create great experiences by putting projects of making things in the hands of children, things like how to create your own electric guitar or creating your own electric piano. And the whole idea was, if I can give a 7-year-old child the experience of making his own or her own electric guitar, then that child will feel that they're capable of anything, right? So we created a lot of these experiences, and we didn't focus on what they were actually learning, but we focused on how we make an experience that develops intangible skills, things like curiosity, confidence, independence, and so on. Things that are actually quite difficult to measure, and that was one of the challenges that we had in this project. But so we've been developing this. There's a pre-COVID and post-COVID. Well, there's a pre-COVID, during COVID, and possibly a post-COVID world. But before COVID, we were focused on mainly after-school clubs. So that was essentially, we hired our own facilitators. They went to the schools that were our partners, and it was an optional after-school club like violin or ballet. And what that allows us is a lot of freedom in creating the experiences. We were not worried about curriculum, and we controlled the whole experience. And we'll see that that's important. Recently, we started doing curricular activities with some partner schools, and we have a big project for public schools in Portugal. And just to give you an idea, in a normal year before COVID, we had partnerships for after-school clubs in over 160 schools, We had over 100 different facilitators going to these schools, and we produced the materials. We shipped out the facilitators. We had each child that was signed up had one class per week, and so on. During COVID, we had to move everything to remote. The summer camps, we couldn't do them, obviously, and we had online workshops. We had remote after school and remote curricular. This was mainly still with us doing almost everything. And the challenge was, and has always been, how do we scale this company? We're a startup. We have dreams of conquering the world like all the other startups. And when investors look at our business, they see, okay, you are hiring all the facilitators. You're doing everything yourselves. If you want to do the inventors in Sri Lanka or in Belgium or in South America, like, how are you going to do this? And so the big challenge was, how do we move away from controlling everything, like hiring our own facilitators and so on, and being a company that develops experiences and then help the teachers do this in their classrooms. And so more or less, this is what we're used to. We have our own platform for training. We have our own facilitators. We have our own methodology and materials. But we needed to move into something like this. And this is what the pilot was enabled us to do, was experiment with, okay, we have our own training platform and materials, but we're actually, the teacher is going to be in another country with another language. And the methodology is not going to be, we chose not to do the same that we do with our facilitators, which is to give them, like, this is what you have to do from the first moment to the last moment. We chose to actually be a little bit laissez-faire and give teachers the ability to see how they could use the materials and implement this into their classroom. And I think we're going to hear interesting stories later on from the other speakers in this session about how this was implemented. So we had teachers in Sweden, France, and Spain. Interestingly, for example, the Spanish teacher who is here, Jose, is a biology teacher, and a lot of these materials are with electronics. And so we chose to, okay, these are the materials, this is how you assemble them. And so it's up to you now to see how you can best integrate this into your own curricular objectives and your own classroom with your own students. And so to us, so just to give an example, we chose 5 experiences. We shipped out the different experiences to different countries. We gave them instructions. We helped, and it was up to the teachers to do it. And so the main lessons for us was that teachers can be very independent. So we had a lot of discussions, and we had a discussion with the organizers of UN about, you know, how many students should teachers have, and because we're not used to having more than 10 students per session, how are we control the experience? And in the end, we chose, okay, let's give them maximum liberty as possible. Let's be here whenever they need help, but let's just see how it goes. And in the end, we learned that, you know, the teachers, at least the teachers we worked with, can be very independent, and they actually know how to do things. And so when we're looking at how can we create these experiences for the teachers, we understand that we can't be too intrusive. All the teachers have their own ways of working, so we need to figure out how we can give the materials and the content in a way that is complementary and fits like a glove into whatever they're doing, but not be too intrusive in the way of, like, we shouldn't get in the way. The other thing is, we developed these activities, we're not thinking about what learning content they would be about, but what we learned is that, you know, all of these experiences that are involving electronics and mechanics and so on, they are quite easy to fit into parts of the curriculum. Sometimes you have to be a little bit more creative, like Jose was with biology, but it's actually the goal. Our goal of working on the intangible skill sets is not going against the goal of actually targeting parts of the curriculum in technology and science and so on. And then the other thing was understanding the difference between countries. So Europe were relatively fragmented in terms of education. All the different countries have different ways of working, different ways that the classroom works. In the end, the teachers are all this same type of people and the same have the same tools more or less, but we have to figure out how we can fit into something that fits into the French curriculum, then something that fits into the Spanish curriculum, and so on. And that's something that we've been working on. Right now, we're working on the Portuguese one, and but soon we'll be developing these experiences for the rest of the countries. And so, without further ado, this is the presentation about the inventors. You can ask more questions at the end, and I pass the baton now to the next presenter.
Thank you very much, Manuel, for your presentation. I mean, I was really I was reading the chat and I was reading the comments about how the inventors you offered a really hands-on experience, right? Like the students are encouraged to really use all their creativity to find a way to mix arts and science and create their own product or their own idea, no? To make it a reality. Like you said, that host is a biology teacher, and that was really interesting. So thank you very much for your presentation, and I wish you the best of luck in the future after the end of this program. And I hope you got all the feedback you needed from the piloting phase for the startup. So thank you very much. And now we're going to give the floor to Kiki Liadaki, if I'm not mistaken, that is going to present the overview of the implementation in different countries, and is also going to tell us how was it as an educational mentor to be working with the teachers and the Inventors startup. So Kiki, the floor is yours. I don't know if you have a presentation, but feel free to share it with us.
I do. I'm just trying to find a way to share my screen.
Perfect. And I would just like to remind everyone, if you can please turn off your cameras if you're not a presenter, because then we see a lot of different participants with their cameras on. Thank you very much.
Okay, so can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So my name is Kiki, and I will work together with Inventors as an educational mentor. That means that I was, let's say, supporting them or working with them and giving feedback on the questionnaires or creating on the creation of documents. In general, giving my point of view on the teacher's perspective. And we had a continuous discussion on the goals of the company and also on the pilot and things. It was great working with them. I really enjoyed this time of trouble, as I would call, because everything happened in the middle of a pandemic, and this seemed a very nice break in between. Even though, as Manuel said, that there was a problem. I mean, he has constructions at home. My problem was every time we would talk, I had my daughter bothering, let's say, so everyone has his or her own struggles. So I will present today an overview of the Inventors implementation in different countries. And the outline of this presentation is just talk briefly about the pilot teachers and the implementation in general, the curriculum content of this, and a feedback from the teachers that we got in general. So there are three pilot teachers, as Manuel said: Jose from Spain, Isabel from France, and Sofia from Sweden. I would make an effort to say let's say the last names, but I don't want to make someone sad. So Jose is a lower and upper secondary school teacher, and amongst the others, he teaches biology, biotechnology, and other subjects. Biology and technology is the ones that he applied for this pilot, and he's from IS Azuer School in Spain. And then we have Isabel, who is a primary school teacher and teaches primary school subjects in general. She worked with technology and history and physics and other subjects for this project. And she's from a school in France. And Sofia from Sweden, she's a lower and upper secondary school teacher. She teaches sciences and she focused on physics and technology for this project. And she's from International English School in Södertälje in Sweden. So as Manuel said earlier, the Inventors have, let's say, for this pilot, they used 5 kits or 5 experiments, or how the inventors call them, 5 experiences. So all the teachers got these 5 experiences and extra kits in order to be able to work with and practice themselves, because before they give to the students. And they all agreed to start with let's say the Catapult, which is considered, let's say, an easy experience to work with. So amongst the kid, together with the kid, the pilot teachers had access to a digital platform. We had all the information concerning the preparation, the assembly, tips and concepts, and also had information about the teachers and also flyers for the students. And the thing is that not only, they provided this information there to be, they also translated in the respective country all the material. They did translations in Spanish, in French. It was not necessarily to do the translations in Swedish, even though there were translations in English, since Sofia, who is from Sweden, is working in international English school. So English was, let's say, the English translations were enough. So this is the pilot phase timeline, and you can see with the blue dot when the implementation started for each teacher. So the very first implementation took place on the mid-February with Jose, and with the green you can see when the implementation finished for the respective teacher. So you can see that they started in different times. Obviously, they had different struggles concerning how the school is open and how it works out during their schedule. And everyone took a different time frame in order to complete. And the reason for this is because every teacher had a different pattern of teaching these experiences. For example, I think if I remember correctly, Jose used 2 lessons per experience. Isabel did 1 experience per week, and Sophia had to alternate students every week. So she had to adjust to that, also having different classes. So everyone used their own schedule, had their own pattern, their own program, and of course they had their own way of teaching. So they fitted the pilot how it suited them. And the whole piloting phase was about 3 months. So you will see here, you see the classes that were involved. Jose used 2 classes each, and Isabel 1, and Sophia 3. And in total, there were about almost 150 students in 6 classes. And you can see their analogy of boys and girls is similar to all of these classes. The grades that were involved, they started, the majority of the classes were 6th year, and there was also 10th year and 7th year, and there was no 9th year, and there was a 10% of 8th year amongst the students. So all the kids, all the experiences were taught face to face, all of them apart from one that during the, let's say, it was not possible, and the students were working from home together with their parents. So the curriculum added to the project, as Manuel said earlier, Jose, he is a biology and biotechnology professor, so he had to adjust the content to his lessons. He was very inventive as an experienced teacher, and he did use very unique ideas in order to combine the experiences according to his needs. For example, he used for the Catapult, which was the first experience that everyone used, he adjusted the curriculum to types of levers to seed dispersal from plants the catapult mechanisms in animals like chameleon tongue and kangaroo jump. So the students could associate the experience with biology contents. So you can see color and vision in animals, or surveillance cameras or trap cameras to study animals in nature, and experiments with the body and the electric current. And one more thing that Jose also was included was the contraction of the iris in the eye. So different, let's say, curriculum parts, different content that he could adjust to the different experiences. Isabel, on her side, as we said, she's a primary school teacher. She did include for the Catapult again. For example, she included history and technology. So she associated this with the manufacture of bricol. I don't know if I say it correctly, which is a medieval equivalent of a catapult, as you see in the picture. So she combined this, and she even made the students being creative with this, trying to make an old model of their own. Also, she worked with physics in electricity, conductivity, light refraction, and music and sounds with one experience. And the instrument theremin, which I have to admit that I didn't know before reading her comments. Lastly, Sophia, she's going to be the next presenter. She worked with physics, and she will give more information in the upcoming presentation. So my last slide is about the feedback that the inventors got. And I had an interview with all the pilot teachers together, and I have to say that all of them were very positive concerning their experience with the inventors, and also the experience of the students. And at some point I asked the teachers what skills did they see while the students worked with the inventors. So I had them, let's say, voting from 1 to 5, 1 being the lowest, let's say the lowest point, and 5 being the highest. And in the first column, you see all of them gave the highest point to skills that they thought they saw. So they saw problem solving, they saw resilience, communication, critical thinking, and teamwork. Problem solving because, of course, difficulties came up and students managed to go through them. Resilience because they insisted, and I remember Isabel even commented that she would give 10 instead of 5 for resilience. Communication and teamwork because they did work together in order to find solutions. And critical thinking because they had to go and check what is it that they have to do or to assemble in order to make everything work. Let's say there were some skills that were less graded. Let's say they didn't get the highest grade, but the most of them, I did agree on a positive note that they did see creativity, motivation, independence, and responsibility. Maybe, let's say, these did not get the highest grade because have in mind that some of the students were younger, so they had difficulty in some of the experiences that they thought they were difficult. So responsibility and independence was more, was more difficult because they needed the help of the teacher. And also motivation, vice versa. If they're older students, let's say, found something very easy, then maybe the motivation was less. So to finish up my presentation, you can see that the inventors, all the skills that these experiences promote and develop and support are not only STEAM skills. They're science skills, but also they're global citizen skills, and they're also scientific literacy skills. So the inventors, in my opinion, are the perfect tool to use in a classroom, and they're also promoting a wide set of skills. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kiki, for the presentation. And as you said, and we could see in your presentation, I mean, even if the piloting teachers face different struggles and different methodology, they could, from the same product, from the same innovative solution, apply it to different scenarios and to different subjects. And I think that's one of the most interesting parts of implementing the Inventors, right? The same Catapult, for example, it was really inspiring how the teachers could use it in history lessons, biology, music, physics. So I found that really interesting, and I'm looking forward to hear more about it from Sophia. So now we're running a bit later on the webinar. So Sophia, now the floor is yours, and you have 10 minutes to tell us a bit about the point of view of the piloting teachers on implementing the Inventors.
Yeah, good afternoon from me also. I'm going to share my screen right now. Can you see my screen?
Not yet, but I'm going to please remind the participants to turn off their cameras, please. Thank you very much. Now I can see it. Perfect. Thank you.
Perfect. I will try to pass through whatever we experienced into the classroom using the kits that were sent by the Inventors, which is pretty much an amazing experience to all of us. We all agreed that we had an amazing time with our kids. And again, the team was Isabel from France, Jose from Spain, and myself from Sweden. And just because we are a little bit late, I'm going to just go through the materials a little bit. So basically, the Inventors sent us fully equipped kits for all of our students in our class. So they asked us basically, how many students do you have in your class? And they sent more kits in order for us to test the kits before we go into the classroom. And also in order to have some extras just in case we had some malfunctions and so on. We had 5 different experiments to test. Everybody gave us the opportunity basically to decide if we're going to test all 5 of them or if we're going to just test one of them. It was depending on the fact that if we were by distance or not the distance, how much time do we got, and so on. And something that helped really much, it was the access to the Inventors website, because there were pretty much detailed information about each kit, and the students could also use the website in order to have access to the presentation of the materials that they were used in its experiment in order to understand what they're looking at it. Because, for example, when it comes to circuits, we had like some cables and resistors and the batteries and so on, that they should understand what they're looking at it and what is the purpose of that specific part into the kit. Then there were some detailed instructions on how to assemble each kit. And finally, there were some tips and concepts where general information, history, terminology, and facts were presented about each of the kits. And I'm going to show you all 5 kits. I have put information from all 3 pilot teachers, but I'm going to focus a little bit to how I used it, while I'm going to show you some videos from Jose, how he used it in his classrooms in Spain. So the synthesizer is basically a really simple circuit where the result is a sound, and the students need to put their fingers into the materials in order to close the circuit. So when it comes to physics, students will be able to learn about the circuits, how they work, and about conductivity, because if they put their fingers into it, then the circuit was closed and it was working. But if they put something that doesn't let the electricity to pass through, then it didn't work. Also, it's really connected with technology about the properties for materials, about if they are conductive materials or if they are isolators. And also, as Jose used it, it was about biology, for example, electricity in the human body. And I will show you now how was this implemented into Jose's classroom. So yeah, this was a really short video about the implementation, where the students build their own resistor electronic, their own synthesizer, and they could test it. And then we go to the electronic cloud. Again, it's all about circuits, but with something extra. The students had a LED lamp, and the LED lamp could take 3 colors, blue, green, and red. And also there was a piece of current that they could put it on the top. And in terms of physics, we studied again the circuits, light reflection and refraction. And because it's all about the color that we see, all the color that is refracted from each material. And again, about biology, Jose basically gave an implementation to his students on how we can see different colors, or how animals see different colors. Again, I'm going to show you a short video about this. So in this video, you could see also that the students, when they had a challenge.
Hi, Sophia, I'm sorry to interrupt, but like we can't hear actually the video, so maybe later you can share the links in the chat for the people that are interested to be able to actually watch them, because we can't hear them, and we're out of time. So if you could please wrap up. Thank you.
Yep. So then we use the Catapult. So about physics, it's connected with forces and the gravity. Most of our experiments here, we used also different materials in order to test if the different materials would go as far as the little pom-pom that the inventor sent. So we did many experiments on this. In terms of physics, this is connected with forces and the gravity. In technology, again, with properties of materials. And as within biology, as Kiki said before, it's connected with the seed dispersion, large mechanism, and jumping. Then spring alarm. So this is again another circuit that the students needed to build, but there was a string in order to close the circuit. So again, we had lessons about circuits and conductivity in order to check if we put another type of string on any other materials, is it going to the circuit to close? Are we going to hear the sound or not? And this is connected with also properties of materials. And actually, there was a specific lesson that students learned the Morse code. The last one is the light Saber. So students again built a circuit, but now they had the straw at the end. So we were able to again teach the behavior of materials in relation to the light, while the physics terms that we discussed again was about the circuits and the light refraction. And just to sum up, some of the students' reflection, most of them, they evaluated all activities very positively. They really enjoyed the fact that they needed to work independently because every single one student had their own kids to work with. Most of them stated that they prefer this type of activity instead of theoretical ones, like just having a theory lesson. And we had, and the students had also really minor problems regarding the materials, some malfunctions that were easily fixed, and parts that were easily broken, but we had extra ones from the inventors. And some students just said that the printed structures were not as detailed, but the website was perfect for them to work, so they didn't have any issue with that. And a teacher's reflection, all experiences were very motivated, and we were able to assess on a formative way our students on their skills and knowledge. The students persevered that when the setups became more complex and they were able to use their critical thinking, which was one of the skills that we discussed much. Then if they had difficulties, they helped each other, and they were really resourceful in solving problems that came up. So it wasn't just independent work, it was also teamwork at the same time. They were extremely enthusiastic with the inventors. We just had minor motivation issues in students that they were a little bit older because they thought that the kids were for smaller kids. And minor issues regarding the malfunctions, lesson planning, because these kids were not meant to be in the classroom. So we needed to be creative and have a complete lesson plan for our lessons in order to use them. And as a final statement, we all agreed that we had a great experience with our students. And just to close this, because we had the COVID-19 situation running, those kids, they were perfect even if we would be in distance learning, because the kids were completed and they were packed in a way that we could send the kids home for them, for the students to work from home. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Kiki, for the presentation, and thank you for sharing the videos of Jose. The team have shared the links on the chat. So we actually use all the time. So we're just gonna have 2 minutes for the Q&A. I'm going to please ask Manuel, Kiki, and Sofia to turn on your cameras so we can have a cozier chat and Q&A, responding all the questions that we're going to have from the participants. Please, the participants that are not speakers and are not presenters of this webinar, please turn off your cameras, because I said a couple of times today. Not you, Jose, you were perfectly fine, please, Jose. So one of the things that we were, yeah, thank you, Jose. So one of the things I wanted to say in this Q&A is that we have Isabel there with all her students connecting directly from her class to today's webinar. And she's one of the piloting teachers together with Jose and Sofia. And that's amazing that she's even like following the webinar with her students. So that's a first person experience. So thank you very much, Isabel. I'm sure you're really busy trying to like control all the excitement that is now in your class. So thank you very much for being here. And one of the questions that I'm gonna ask you, and I think more or less is going to be the only one, sorry, because we ran out of time, is that if Kiki, Sofia, Jose, and Emmanuel, you could give me a word that would describe these past months of piloting and using the Inventors product and using the lightsaber that remind me so much of Star Wars, or the Catapult, or all the experiences as they call them, what would it be? How would you like summarize or represent? What would be the word that represents the work that you have done with the Inventors?
Like I will say the most the best experience that I had with the students ever. That's the only thing that I can say. I cannot say anything more.
Well, that's really descriptive.
Because
yes.
like the students really enjoyed that, and when we see, you know, that every single teacher, when the teacher sees happy faces, then the teacher is happy, and we saw a lot of happy faces.
And then that's it, right? Like that. Yeah. That's your achievement of the day. Yeah. Jose, you were saying something before, but you were muted. So if you can unmute yourself and now share with us your experience.
Fantastic. In general, it was fantastic for the students and teacher because it's a perfect material to work with the students.
I mean, and also it was like one of the feedback that you could give to Manuel is that it can be adapted to many different subjects as you did with biology. So actually that I think it's a great feedback that we can take from the IMPACT EdTech program for the future of the Inventors product. So thank you very much. And maybe Kike and Manuel, you want to share your thoughts?
Should I go first?
Sure, go first, Kike.
Oh, thank you, Manuel. I just want to say something that I also mentioned during the evaluation. I mean, when I first realized that I would work together with a startup that had hands-on experiences, I was a little bit disappointed, I have to say, and because it's a pandemic and this is going to be difficult. However, as Isabel mentioned at some point, this was actually the difference, and this was what was needed, because, I mean, everyone is really fed off of the online presence and computers, and having something hands-on was really nice. And I really enjoyed the whole experience, and I do regret my first thought. So that's why I confess and I take it back.
I guess is the same reaction that we all had when we were told, okay, you have to all go back home and get confined and everything, and you were like, okay, now I have to run another technology product and use another video conference tool to have to meet these people. So I guess it's the same thought that we all had. But I mean, let's end up in a positive note. In the end, the Inventors was the cherry on the pie. So I mean, like, that's great.
And one last thing. Sorry, to finish up, I didn't do the implementation, right? I was not in class. I only got the feedback from the teachers, and I was talking with the inventors. But I was amazed by their experiences. I mean, all three of them, Isabel, Sofia, and Jose, and their work and the material, and of course their enthusiasm during this project. So thank you both the pilot teachers and Manuel for this work.
Well, and thanks to you, right, for being the bridge between them. I mean, the educational mentor part is also really necessary in this program.
I think in this project, maybe I was the weakest of all.
Nah, I don't believe you. I don't think so.
Well, yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks to you. And Manuel, I don't know if you want to close the session by saying like a bit of what you think it was experience in one word.
Yeah, to me, the word would be trust, because in the beginning we had a lot of concerns, like we're going to ship our babies, our creations, and give it to other teachers in other countries that we have never met. But Isabel, Jose, Sofia, they have more years of experience in education than I could ever imagine. So I think it was a great experience, and the trust really paid off, and we were amazed with how the teachers were able to use the best of the experiences for their particular challenges in their classroom. So that would be my word, trust. And thank you to all the teachers. It was a great experience for us, and thank you for the kind words as well.
Well, thanks to you. And I guess we can finish the webinar remembering the words, right? Enthusiasm, trust, adaptability. Fantastic. I mean, I think there's no anything else to say. In the end, it was positive feedback, and in the end, it paid off. The fact that you ended up sending your baby Catapult or your baby Saber all over Europe. So thank you very much to everyone that attended today's webinar. Thank you to Kiki, Sofia, Jose, Manuel, and Isabel and her students that are back there. And thank you very much to all the IMPACT EdTech team that has been behind the organization of this webinar. Thank you very much for the presentations, and the best of luck to the inventors, and the best of luck to the teachers trying to navigate this still remote learning situation that we have right now. And see you soon, maybe in another webinar. Have an amazing afternoon, and thank you very much. Bye bye.